actually, these were the same for the disruptor. They would lose their forms, but in the same exact line, we would actually replace the form. So the providers would try to keep them on hand so they can always have one to give to a family if they lost it. Here, another disruptor was if they were canceling or not completing visits due to crisis intervention and having to do other things, and we weren't able to get to it. This was a bit of a disruptor. Not completed seems to be like it was going up a little higher. And then our outcome, we experienced positive changes following this implementation. We met our goal of caregivers increasing their positive parenting practices with children by at least that 10%. And this means there was an increase in caregivers spending time with their children and supporting their development. Disruptors, we did notice that they were missed and not completed visits, which we expected. Few, but some parents did misplace their handouts, but we see that providers were able to immediately provide those replacements. And again, with the missed and not completed visits, Safe Care does provide services to high-risk families. So there's a lot of homelessness, changing place of living. There's a lot of history of domestic violence and mental health disorders and things. So there can oftentimes be a lot of those not completed visits or missed visits due to those reasons. We learned that caregivers seem to improve on their time spent doing activities with their children when supported by the parent educator. Our hope is these activities are helpful in child development and caregivers are able to bond with their children during this time. Overall conclusions, we did match our prediction, even went a little higher. We learned that with the reminders and help of the parent educators, caregivers can increase their positive parenting during activities with their children. And what we might do differently if we were to start over, we will try to be more regular about getting these PDSAs completed, because that turned into an issue for us, is that sometimes we just forget to do the PDSA and then we can't get accurate information and data on what the parents are actually doing. And so I will try to help with that in the future. And I think that, oh, nope, here it is. Last one here. I think we're planning on adopting this. And so we're just going to keep on going and try to increase that even more so. It's been reliable. And so we might implement it on a bit of a larger scale. We'll do more reminders to the staff to complete them and increase on the follow-ups after. So we did pretty good at getting those first ones done, but the follow-ups would not always go through. And that's it.
Very good, Kelsey. Thank you so much. You came off as a pro and not someone who's new to doing PDSAs. So good job.
I'm panicking the whole time.
Oh, you did a great job. I'm very proud of you. Okay, finally, this morning we have LCDA.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Patty de Moraes, and I'm the Director of Prevention Programs at LCDA. I'll be making the presentation for our PDSA. The home visitation programs are just 2 of 25 different programs the LCDA has, so I'm not reflecting much up here of our agency, but we serve Oklahoma County. We've been offering originally, we were doing through the Healthy Families America module, and we became Parents as Teachers affiliate in 2002. We obtained our Blue Ribbon designation in October of 2017. You have to renew that every 5 years, and we have completed the self-study for the second round, and we'll find out in October of this providing safe care services since 2009. We have completed CQI projects since 2014, and we provide PAT and safe care services. And I'm gonna show, because we did the same thing, combined just this presentation, just given the data of each program. We have had MACD funding since 2013 and non-MACD funding since 1994 to the present. Our capacity for PAT is 163 families. We have 7.5 workers, and 44 families for safe care. We have 4 workers. Our PDSA was referrals to developmental services and tracking that. Increased family involvement in child development as the primary driver. And we believe that by following a standard protocol, when delays are found after administering the AESQs, parents maybe will follow up more with the developmental referrals and will understand more clearly why that referral was needed and the importance of following up with that referral. And we started in February, and in fact, it was February 1st, because a lot of the AESQs we just went from the beginning of February, but a smart aim was starting February 15. All the families enrolled in PAT and safe care with a child with developmental concerns, and the ASQ or ASQSC will receive a referral to services, and at least 20% of them will follow up with that referral. So the weekly outcome measures, it was just a referral tracking form, just the lifespan of the referral. The process measure the ASQ SC administered to that family, and whatever delays were found, they were going to be referred. The disruptors, it was either parents not following up with the referral, or the PCP not referring the family to services, or waiting for services, or no services available for that family. So this is our changed theory diagram. So we went ahead and checked the status of any developmental delays that were active, maybe with families in any new from February to June. So we reviewed the scores of the families, and if they had, a delay, we created a talking point sheet that we were going to go over with families more consistently. We didn't have that. That was something that was created. If there are developmental concern, if there was a developmental concern, of course, there was, we did a referral, and then we just keep track of what happened with that referral, trying to increase the family following up with that referral. So both parent educators and the family support workers need to implement the change. All families in the program, they had an ASQ administered during that PDSA, and with any concerns, we will be receiving our referral services. So what was done, we were completing the Learning Collaborative Questionnaire every 3 months. We did the first one in February, and then the last one, I believe, is in June. So we administer the ASQs, ASCs as schedule, and if there were any developmental concerns, then the family was referred. We'd review those scores. We use those talking points to encourage the family to follow up with that referral. And that was a little bit here. It was a little bit of misunderstanding with the touch point and ETO. They were going to let us know when the touch point was an ETO, but we found out, I think, late in April that we had that touch point, but we went ahead and went back and entered all the ASQs that were done from February to June, and then following up with that referral. Where in the client's home, virtually or physically. And as I've mentioned already, we started in February. I don't know, did I show my, oh yeah, I already showed my theory. So we created these talking points. We got together with the team, and they expressed kind of like maybe the difficulties they have sometimes presenting this to the parent, or what things that they like, usually, or what are the important things that they mentioned at that time. So we just put it together in one single sheet, and that really helped just to create a very similar process for everyone. So we run the report about how many active families have a child development with a delay, and check if the referral was made, and check that the status of that referral. So the touch point was completed in about the ASQs, and then the follow-ups that we did. So we have 204 ASQs, SCs, and during that period, and 15 children show delays, and all 15 children were referred. This is in PAT. For the percentages of the families receiving services is 33.33. Waiting for services, it was 20%, waiting for an evaluation, 20%, and did not qualify, it was 13%, and refused the services, 13%. So here a little bit more explanation of of those 15 children, 5 are receiving services at this moment. 2 did not qualify, 2 are still waiting for services. They already did the evaluations, so they're just waiting for services and sooner start, and 3 are waiting for the evaluation itself. Only 2 moms refused the referral, and I believe it was one, it just wanted to wait and practice a little bit, before she would get that referral. I think in both situations was the same thing. With Safe Care, we had 40 ASQs. Of those, 9 children had delays, and all 9 were referred. Receiving services, 55%. It would have been a little bit more, like 77%, because some started receiving services, but then they stopped the service. One of the clinics closed. So the family didn't want to get into another referral, and they're waiting for, only one family, I believe, is waiting for the PCP referral. And one, after they did a follow-up ASQ, the family did not show any delays because the family end up practicing the activities that the worker left them, and did not show a delay later on. So this is a little bit here, more the explanation. So they all had a referral tracking form there and a follow-up. Of the 9 children, all 100% were referred, and 77 were receiving services at one point, but 2 were the ones that dropped services, as I mentioned. And here's a little more the explanation. 1 refused a referral, even though, the clinic closed and we were given them another referral, but they didn't want to take that. And the one just had a little bit of a scheduling conflict, so she dropped the services. Oh, hey, I didn't do the lessons learned, but of course we did match our prediction. It was to get at least 20% of the children to get into services, and we got 33% in PAT and 55 in Safe Care. I think that part of the lessons learned, it was helpful for staff to have a standardized way of talking with families after finding a delay in the ASQ. Some of them just thought it was great. For example, one of them always talked about, if having a delay doesn't mean that a child is not intelligent, things like that. So just putting together a lot of talking points with the family, and even give them time to think through it. Sometimes it's hard when they hear that and they need to process that a little bit better. So they were given even a copy of these talking points to the parent, just for them to read later and just kind of go over it, and maybe that will be helping them. So we will adapt this. We'll continue using those talking points as a standard protocol when we find any delays, after during the ASQs. We'll continue doing those, referring the families and keeping track of that, the referral tracking form. We might not do the PDSA touch point. It didn't really help us that much. We're still, anyways, we have a way to track this information, because that's something that we have to do anyways. So we have our own spreadsheets to do that. And hearing this morning, Dr. Barr, probably we will stay with this. We didn't know if we will continue with this, but it seems like in the morning when we heard that it was been a problem, not knowing what happens when you refer families and what's the follow-up. So that's going to continue happening. So maybe we'll stay with this. And that's it.
Thank you, Patty. I think that's a great presentation and project. It really is right in line with some of the goals that we're going to be pursuing with future activities to try to improve that information about and response rates to those referrals. And I liked it that you had that standardized way, because by putting together that document where you would have the talking points, you're really drawing from the strengths of everybody on your team to be able to contribute to that and share knowledge with each other. So I liked that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was what we took out of this one. It was just more having a standardized way of talking with families, and a lot of them, they just gave the input. Some of them were saying, I might be able to show you some of the things. Let me see some of the things that we have and the talking points. I don't know if you want to see that.
Sure.
So at the beginning, even, we were going to make sure that we were going to recognize and highlight the child's strengths, and just kind of talking, how the first 3 years of life, it's a period of growth in children, and how they grow from being babies and they can't communicate, they can't walk and things like that, and then they get into more, more developed aspects of all the development. So that sometimes you get delays in maybe in what areas, what kind of things that can be, because some of them said, maybe it's not in this area, but maybe in this area, and we were just doing it in general. So a very important aspect that one wanted to have here, it was that a delay in the child's development is not related to the child's intelligence, because that's why they felt that sometimes the parents will go, oh, my child is not intelligent, So they develop in a different speed, and it's important, just to keep track of that, so not to worry too much about it, but that can be indicated in those tools that we're using. And of course, also the developmental delays are usually beyond the control of the parent. So we gave them an example. If it's a speech delay, that can be caused more of a hearing loss, due to multiple ear infections or whatever. So that's not, because sometimes they feel like, oh, what do I do when, I'm a bad parent or whatever. What other thing I think that they like? So that they're gonna have to, give us a consent to do that referral. So they're the ones that sign, and if they want to do it, that they will talk with their pediatrician to get that. That sometimes they would say, no, let's just wait, or sometimes that a child doesn't really qualify for services, and that's okay too. But how important is early intervention? If you start it early enough, that's crucial, and that can help tremendously when they, start school. So I really kind of say that they need the authorization, and then some of them wanted to have what kind of delays, who, a physical therapist does what, and an occupational therapist what, and that kind of thing. So then maybe it's normal that sometimes, to process this, and if they need time, that they can have time, and later on they can discuss that. But we also wanted to normalize it. So we added here that according to the Center of Disease Control, 1 in 6 children in the US between the ages of 3 and 17 are diagnosed with developmental delays, which include what, so that way they don't feel alone. That one wanted to leave here was that the importance of practicing those activities, the extra activities that we give them, and that will help them also achieve some of the developmental delays, just because maybe they haven't practiced or given the opportunity to. And some of them wanted to keep this, like if you put the child in belly and belly time, or the child is more independent, if you give them scissors to play, go colors to color and read to them and interact with other children, how that will help them, in all the development. So I think having this, just everyone in the same page, really helped us. And I believe that that was what we got the most out of it.
Yeah, thank you for going over those. That was very good. And Susan said in the comments that it's really helpful because the parents often are afraid to hear that a child may not be developing like other children, and to know that, hey, this may just be their experience, lack of experience with doing these things, and it has nothing to do with whether your child is smart. That, you know, that, and I think that's an important way to immediately relieve. So thank you. Now I'd like to, before we go to lunch, I'd like to turn it over to David for a few comments and
Thank you, Lisa.
announcements.
Let me just piggyback on the conversation that was just being had there and say congratulations, Patty and LCD 18. This is a wonderful contribution to the collaborative. And you covered so many different topics there in one PDSA. It's an amazing feat to have accomplished. And I would extend that to all of the groups that presented today. So we saw a variety of different topics. In fact, I think we hit all of the three main arms of our PDD. Don't know what a PDD is? Stay tuned after lunch. Lisa's going to give us a refresher course, but that's our key drivers diagram. Sorry, KDD. I had it wrong. We had some workforce projects where we saw success on the trainings and even the perceptions of competencies in certain areas that providers need to feel and be comfortable with before they share it with their clients. So what a wonderful project and creative idea to pursue over this last phase. And then we had our positive parenting promotion PDSAs as well. The three that I could come to mind immediately all saw increases in frequency of activities with young kids, and that's of course what it's all about. And then finally the capper here with a look at the referral processes, which lays the groundwork for the projects we have ahead in the collaborative that'll start in January, and our focus on using the Unitas application to improve the ways, the two-way communication with your programs and with developmental services. So it really is, I'm in awe, and this is one of my favorite days of the year. A lot of that's because, yes, I'm a data geek like some of the other analysts on here, and you know, we live for more data, but it's wonderful to see the progress and the advancement that your programs are making with these families, and we're very fortunate to be a part of it. I wanted to rectify a quick absence from this morning. I don't know if I have share screen privileges or not. Give it a shot. This was the missing slide from earlier for C1. Thank you, Andrew, for sending that to me during the break. So as I said before, not too unlike what we saw with the other programs, about 76% of the ASQs that are in the at-risk range have a documented referral based on the methodology we're currently using. And we've learned today of ways that we can improve that. So I anticipate this rate will go up as it will for the other programs as well. For utilization, the documented rate that we have is 8%. Again, perhaps this is going to go up, especially as we invent new ways of documenting it in a structured fashion in ETO. One last parting comment, another ball that I dropped at the beginning, and my apologies, I should have mentioned this when we were going through the agenda for today. I wanted to make a brief announcement after the break. When we go into breakout sessions for the afternoon, for those programs, Safe Care programs in particular, that are planning to work with the Positive Parenting app, I have a brief demo to walk through with you so you can see what the app is going to look like and then plan your PDSAs accordingly. It'll take roughly 15 minutes for us to go through that. Happy to answer any questions you have at that time. And then we'll release you from that specialized breakout room to go back to your program breakout room and develop those PDSAs. So more on that in the afternoon session. And I think that covers all my announcements for now. Oh, at Safe Care programs and anybody else who wants a copy of the demo slides, just let me know. Safe Care programs, I'm going to send it to you right now so you'll have it over lunch. You can share it with one another. in your PDSA sessions this afternoon.
Thank you, David. We're coming up on 11:45, which is right on schedule. So we will go ahead and take a lunch break, and we will come back at 12:45, and I'll put that time in the chat. And I will go ahead and leave my computer on in the room, but if you'd like to go ahead and log out and log back in, that'd just be fine. So we'll see you later. Thank you.